Hey, hello everyone. My name is Darren and I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the School of Health Sciences information session for the Electroneurophysiology program. First off, I just want to say how happy we are to see you all and thank you for attending our presentation today. Feel free to post your questions, comments, and thoughts into the chat during the presentation, and we will do our best to address as many questions as possible near the end of the presentation in the Q&A segment. And if possible, please keep your microphone and videos turned off until the end of the presentation to reduce any connectivity issues. That would be greatly appreciated. And one very important thing, BCIT acknowledges that our province of British Columbia is located on the homeland of 203 distinct Indigenous nations and over 30 different languages and close to 60 unique dialects are spoken in the province. And we ask all participants to reflect, acknowledge, and honor in their own way the First Nation land on which they live, work, and play. I'm currently on the Burnaby campus, and I just want to acknowledge that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. Our agenda for this evening, or today, this afternoon, is the welcome and introductions, which we are halfway through. We're going to do a quick poll. We have a short electroneurophysiology video to play, and then we'll do the presentation and program overviews. Then we'll speak with program advising, and then at the very end, we'll do a Q&A and hopefully get all your questions answered. What is electroneurophysiology? And how did we do, Christy? Oh, you're muted.
We did quite well. It looks like the majority of us understood that diagnostic testing to record electrical activity of both peripheral or central nervous system is what we would call electroneurophysiology. Perhaps someone else was in the wrong group or just being a little silly with us, but I think everybody knows what we're here for today. Thanks, Darren.
Excellent. Okay, I will stop sharing the results. Thank you very much for that. Moving along, I will reintroduce Christy McIntosh. Sorry, I always wreck that. And thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy McIntosh. I'm the program head for electroneurophysiology. I've actually been with this program for quite some time now, coming up on 15 years. And I was also a graduate of this program quite some time ago. So I've seen BCIT grow. I've also seen changes within the program. And I can attest that it's just a fantastic program that I'm so proud of. And I really look forward to telling you more about it. A little bit about our program. Electroneurophysiology program at BCIT, we're one of only 3 specialized programs of its kind in Canada. The other 2 programs are actually bilingual, and our grads are very sought after. We contribute to much of the field actually across Canada. Hospitals and healthcare clinics use trained technologists to operate sophisticated electroneuroddiagnostic testing equipment. The majority of our graduates work in hospitals, both community-based hospitals and tertiary hospitals. And as the only provider of electroneurophysiology training in BC, BCIT plays an integral part in facilitating these processes. Next slide, please. So fun facts, a lot of people assume that this is a new test because it's not at all the hospitals. It is a small field, but it's not a new test. In fact, Hans Berger, who lived from 1873 to 1941, he was a German psychiatrist who recorded the first human EEGs in 1924. Another little interesting fact was he first started practicing on his kids. So not everybody knows that part either. So yeah, it's been around for quite some time. Next slide, please. So We have a lot of hands-on learning, and I want to tell you a little bit about the different components of our program. It's a continuous 24-month program, in person, full time. We have 10 students in the program. In the first year, there's a lot of learning the basics of EEG and EMG application, and learning the foundational knowledge and theory. There's also a 4-week clinical practicum in which the students go out into the field, and they work at hospitals for 4 weeks continuously. And then in year 2, we have 3 online seminars. And during that time, the students are actually in clinical practicum for 4 weeks. Now, this is actually 3 12-week clinical practicums plus a 4-week specialized clinical practicum. But it really gives you the sense of what it's like to be a worker in healthcare. So it's a really great experience. Next slide, please. So the clinical practicum, a little bit more about them. As I said, it's a total of 44 weeks of clinical practicum experience. So 4 weeks in the first year, and then in the entire second year is in clinical practicum experience. And it's like a full-time job, really. It's 35 hours a week. You get to choose with us from many different sites across Canada. And we ask that half of these clinical placements be outside the Lower Mainland. So actually I apologize, that's a bit of a typo, or it's a little misleading, but half of the clinical placements that you do must be outside of the Lower Mainland. We work with you to find clinical practicums that work for you. So for example, if you have an uncle in Calgary and going to Calgary to do a clinical practicum works well for you because it'll help facilitate your accommodation, we'll make that happen. If you're interested in pediatrics, we'll find sites that specialize in pediatrics. Or if you're more interested in EMG, we'll look for that as well. So it's a conversation that we have with you to find out what works best. Next slide, please. So job opportunities, just talking about the career outlook. We have an extremely optimistic outlook for our graduates. There are definitely more ENPY, electroneurophysiology technologists required in the field. And in the past, all of our graduates have easily found employment. We're, like I said, what most of the Canadian field, we're the school that they go to find and to get students to the graduates actually to go to their labs. Next slide, please. So most of our graduates have become technologists. They often move on to become chief technologists and department managers. Some of them become instructors. Some of them do go into research. We have the occasional person that decides to go into equipment sales, and also program managers. So lots of different things actually within the hospital, but the majority once upon graduation are technologists. Next slide, please.
All right. Thank you, Christy. So I guess I'll take for the next section here. Hi, my name is Shelley Shumas, and I'm a program advisor in full-time studies at BCIT. So thank you for joining us this evening. I'm joined today with my colleague, Janice Pontes, who will be answering your questions in the chat if you have any questions while we're doing the presentation. So I work with a team of advisors. We have part-time advisors and full-time advisors, and we help students to apply to programs at BCIT, such as Electroneurophysiology. So tonight we're going to discuss how to apply to this program. And a little bit about what we do in program advising is we're a lot of times the first point of contact for students. So they might come in and they're not quite sure what to do, or they're not where to start even. So we'll look at what the program entrance requirements are for a program. We'll look at what the occupation outlook is, or what kind of jobs graduates get, where to do upgrading, transfer credit, student. We do a lot of work with students to let them know what other supports are out there for them as a student. So that's what we do in program advising. So yeah. So we'll go to the next slide there. Okay, so for electroneurophysiology, we're going to talk a little bit now about the entrance requirements. So when you go to the program page for this program, you'll see on the left-hand side navigation bar, there'll be a lot of different tabs that you're going to see. Overview, there'll be a tab for entrance requirements, there'll be another tab for tuition and costs, there'll be another one for career outcomes, and then there's usually a few other tabs as well. So we're going to discuss the program entrance requirements tab tonight. So I'll just go over what the entrance requirements are for this program. It's an English 12 at 73, plus 2 years of English in an English-speaking country. If you don't have that, you could talk to program advising, because there is other assessments and or courses possibly that you could take in place of that. You also will need a pre-calculus 12 at 67. This program also accepts the foundations of Math 12 at 73. So in addition to the high school entrance requirements, there is post-secondary for this program as well. So you will need a human anatomy and physiology. It's a 6 credit or equivalent. The course at BCIT is basic health science, 1200. There's also an equivalency chart on the program page if you wanted to take that course elsewhere. Another entrance requirement is needed is just 6 credits of a post-secondary physics. And that one is suitable for students studying health science, engineering, or just sciences. So that could be in a physics, two semesters, so 6 credits. In addition to that, they'll also be looking for a strong academic history. So if you've taken some courses at post-secondary level in physics, anatomy, and physiology, perhaps you've done biology, that would also be quite useful to have, as well as some computer literacy for presentations. So that would also be useful for you to have. In addition to that, they're looking for someone that has knowledge of the profession. So someone that maybe knows about electroneurophysiology, they know the ins and the outs, they know what it is and what it isn't. They've researched the field. So someone that has actually knowledge of the profession is also important. In addition to that, for some additional information about what might be good for a candidate is to have some work or volunteer experience. And that can be even as simple as a customer service type of position. It could be waitressing, or it could be cashier, lifeguard, swim coach, soccer coach, or if you could get some clinical experience in healthcare, that's also beneficial. But we also realize that is COVID, and sometimes it's not easy to get that type of experience. So I just wanted to let you know that that's also acceptable as well. If you've ever worked with different populations, that could also be helpful. So with autistic children, maybe volunteering at GF Strong, an MS event, or an epilepsy association. So something like that. So if you're not sure where to go to, maybe if you thought you might want to do something like that, volunteer, you can go to govolunteer.ca, and they do have some volunteering for COVID. It's not a necessary for the requirement for the program, but sometimes it does help a little bit. Okay, so the next slide, we'll go over the start dates. Let's talk about the start dates for EMPY. Thankfully, those applications are still open. So January, it opened till May 31st was the first deadline. And now there is a second one from June 1st until August 31st. So there's still time to apply. There's still time to start your new career and start in January. So if you're looking at something and you want to start sooner, this might be a really good program for you. So a few other things to mention is just how to be successful in the program, and what are some good qualities that you might want to have. So again, strong communication skills is really good. So sometimes you might work with a patient for quite some time as a technologist. So you want to be able to work well with patients, have good communication skills, maturity, be able to handle challenging situations or challenging personalities. So that would also help. Ability to work well independently and as part of a team. So that will be in the classroom as well as on your clinical, which Christy said it's a lot of clinical experience in your second year. So definitely need the teamwork skills. And then once you get your job when you're done. So another point to make is just having really good physical health, mental health, and ability to handle stress and time management. So that's really important at BCIT. So for the physical as well, you want to know how to be able to work well with the equipment and be able to be physically fit so that you could do this job well. Strong decision-making and problem-solving skills are also important, as well as having computer literacy, 3D visualization, manual dexterity, and good hand and eye coordination. So all of these points would help you be successful in the program. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. All right, so I'm just going to quickly go over the application process. So when you're applying to BCIT, you want to make sure that you meet the entrance requirements, and we have gone over that in the first slide, but that's really important to make sure that you meet the entrance requirement. And for some programs for competitive programs, sometimes it needs to be higher than what's on the program page, and just being aware of when the application deadline is, upgrading if necessary. And we can help you with that in program advising if you're not sure where to go. So ensure that you collect all your documents, that's your transcripts and any other additional documents. You'll be able to upload those into the online application. So if you do have a transcript that you got sent to you in the mail, you could actually open it and scan and upload that. So the next step that you want to do is complete the Casper assessment. That's an assessment external to BCIT. So it's a situational judgment test. It's a psychological test that's online. It stands for computer-based assessment for sampling personality characteristics. So you will need to just do a little bit of research before you do that test. There's a practice test on the Casper website. And that test is sent directly to BCIT. So the next step that you'll need to do is your mandatory applicant questionnaire. And that is where you get to just write, showcase your written skills, communication. So you'll be able to talk a little bit about what you've done, what your academic background, what kind of applicant are you, and really showcase your skills that way. So just make sure it's very well written. And the last thing is applying, and that's at bcit.ca/apply, and you will pay $90 to apply. So that's the steps. It is entirely online. It is not too difficult, and everything prompts you along the application, so it's not too bad. So once you finished applying, after you apply, after that deadline date, the department will shortlist applications, and they'll go through, and the shortlisted applicants would be invited to an interview. Used to be in person. Some of them have gone virtual, and some programs are just doing Casper for this this time around. Once they have reviewed all the applications, they'll make their final selections, and then they will notify those applicants that they have been accepted. The process would take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks after the deadline date, and we just definitely appreciate your patience during this time. when applications are being reviewed. Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is a slide that just is demonstrating that at BCIT, we definitely follow the 8 dimensions of well-being. So we want to make sure that you are, you have all of the areas to ensure that your health is taken care of and your well-being. So this is through our student services department, as well as the BCIT Student Association. They follow this 8 dimensions model. If you really want to know more, you can just go to their website, bcit.ca/student services. Awesome. Okay, well, let's go to the next slide, and I will then just demonstrate a little bit more how we apply those 8 dimensions. So these are all services that are going to support your success as a student at BCIT. So we do have Indigenous initiatives for Indigenous people that need perhaps some funding, or there's a gathering place, so you could go there. We have student financial aid and awards. So if you needed to know about bursaries, student loans, if you need to know how to finance your education, that would be a really great place to start. And they do have some like services right now for online. So you could either give them a call, or there could be a virtual appointment as well. And hopefully by September, things will start to open up again, so people can go back to school and access some of our services. And then we have accessibility services if you need accommodation support. So please feel free to contact them if you do need that. You will need a medical note and a disability or a temporary disability. We do have student health services on campus as well. So if you need to see a nurse, we do have that. Right now they're offering telehealth services. Perhaps in September things will look a little bit differently, but just keep checking our COVID-19 page for updates. We also have counseling on site and student development. So if you need stress management tips or strategies, you can see a counselor. And again, they're offering those virtual appointments as well, which is awesome. And finally, we have our rec services department. We have a very beautiful gym on our campus, as well as a really nice track and trails. So we encourage everyone to get active and get healthy while they're a student at BCIT. We are offering right now, it's online virtual classes, as well as we have the virtual, as well as there's an e-sport league. But by September, they may open up. We're not quite sure exactly how that's going to work, but there may be a limited capacity at the gym, as well as there may be some classes in person. Okay, so just keep checking, and hopefully we'll find out more as the summer moves along and September starts. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the next slide. And really, we just want to ensure that everyone knows that program advising is here to help you. That we are a lot of times the first point of contact with students. So we are open 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So we have our schedule up there for our service hours and their phone number. So if you need to talk to somebody, we are open. We also have email. You can email us at program_advising@bcit.ca. And you can also request a virtual appointment on Zoom. So we can see you just like we did in person, but over Zoom. That's if you want to know more, you can contact our website, bcit.ca/advising. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to ensure that everybody knows that we are very active on social media. The School of Health has many different handles. So if you want to join their Facebook page or Twitter, or find them on Instagram, or they have a ton on YouTube. There's a lot of students that post YouTube videos, a day on the life of the student at BCIT, or could be also, we have info sessions. There's a lot of the department puts videos up. Like, there's a lot of information to be to find on the internet if you want to, about all the different types of programs we have here. There's also a LinkedIn page, so definitely check that out. We do have a Spend a Day program. It's just currently on hold, but if it does resume, I would encourage you to do that, because you get to spend a day with a student who's a student, let's say in electroneurophysiology, and you would hang out with them for the day and see what it's like and get to see if this is a good program for you. So maybe we're not quite sure when that's going to resume, but hopefully we will soon. And then we also have campus tours as well. And right now they're not quite in operation, but there's a lot online that you can find out about as well. Okay, we'll just go to the next one there, next slide.
Thank you, Shelley. Actually, just before we move on to the questions and answers, and thank you very much for all that excellent information, I believe Erin has a video she might want to share with us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hi. My name's Keith Anderson, Bachelor of Arts Technologist in Training. Are you a neuroscience nerd, a brainiac, crazy for the cranium? Then do we have a program for you?
In the Electroneurophysiology program here at BCIT, you will be studying the central nervous system by learning how to perform electroencephalograms, or EEGs. You will not only receive lectures, but also hands-on experience and practice in your labs. Also be studying the peripheral nervous system and learning how to perform nerve conduction studies. Because of its smaller class size, the program gives instructors the time to help you one-on-one whenever you need, whether it be with class projects or technique in the lab. The small class size also helps you bond with your classmates, so even though the program may be hard, you can always find ways to have fun.
Thank you very much. That was the best video. Okay, can we see the question and answer screen now? And hopefully I'm back in control. Okay.
Actually, excellent. I think Christy wanted to say something now.
Okay. We would love to hear from Christy.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give our program one more plug. I cannot tell you enough times actually what a fantastic program it is. Like I said, as somebody who has been the program head for 15 years and who graduated from this program and who has worked in the field, I can just promise you just a tremendous amount of satisfaction and nothing but good things to say about our program if you're interested in it. If you would like to get in touch with me and ask more questions about it, I am more than happy to speak with you. If you're interested in getting into healthcare, you can apply to our program right now. And the deadline for this application window is August 31st. You'd have an answer about whether or not you got into the program by the end of September. And you could be in, starting to study healthcare, electroneurophysiology in January. You wouldn't have to wait more than a year to begin your career. It's a great career. We work, generally speaking, Monday to Friday, regular hours, and the pay scale is comparable to it. Well, it's the same as other allied health programs. So yeah, I just can't emphasize enough what a great, satisfying and rewarding career this is. And I encourage you to get in touch with us, or, you know, if you're ready, just go ahead and apply now. You'll have an answer really soon as to whether or not you can begin in January 2022. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent, Christy. Thank you very much. So I'm hoping someone has been keeping an eye on the chat for some excellent questions that we can share with everybody. Find mine.
I don't see any questions in there, Darren.
No,
Okay.
I think that Christy and Shelley just did such a fantastic job that all the questions were answered, because we don't seem to have any.
That's
And
excellent.
we do have different ways that they can connect after this evening. So certainly Christy seems very open to be to answering any questions that you've got after this evening, as well as program advising for sure as well. So yeah, so I think we're good. I think no questions so far. Is anybody just last call for questions?
Oh, just 1 minute. I have one here, but I'm going to need to put it to everybody.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I worked as an EEG tech for 2 years. I'm interested in taking up the program. Okay, is it available? Or
Would you like me to attempt to answer that, Shelley?
sure.
Yeah, so some of the things that we would have to determine with you is equivalency, because schooling in the Philippines is different than it is in Canada, with graduating at grade 10 as opposed to grade 12. So you would need to speak with program advising so that we could talk to you about those equivalencies and maybe talk to you about some upgrading that you might have to do to be able to apply to the program. Did you want to add anything to that, Christy?
Yeah, I was thinking, I think that she might be from the Philippines. That this program is not open to international students. I wasn't sure if that was your question.
Oh, I was thinking that she was a permanent resident from
Yeah,
the Philippines.
I was too at first, but then I just kind of looked again, and I think that, yeah, so we do have some programs in healthcare that are open to international students, but not this one in particular. We do have some, so you'd have to look on our website under programs that are open for full-time studies for international students.
Not a lot of health sciences is available to international students. There's really only a couple of programs. So you might want to broaden your scope a little bit if you are an international student, because there are many programs in some other areas of studies, engineering programs, School of Business programs, but very few in the School of Health for you.
Okay, thank you. That's probably an important question for a few people.
For sure. Anything else come in, Darren?
No, nothing for me, nothing for everyone.
It says, does part of the practicum have to be in another province? Christy.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we do ask, as I mentioned, that 50% of the clinical practicums take place outside of the Lower Mainland. So you could actually do some of that, for example, on Vancouver Island or in the interior, or actually in Prince George. So we do have some of the clinical practicum sites in Victoria, Nanaimo, Kamloops, Kelowna, Prince George. So those are other places in BC that are outside of the Lower Mainland. So those completely would be sufficient. And again, we would work with you. We also have some, Calgary, Red Deer, and Edmonton, actually, so they are close to BC as well. So, we work with people to find what works best, but we definitely do ask that people do half of their clinical practicums outside of the Lower Mainland. It's just we don't have room to have everybody in the Lower Mainland at the same time in our program. So and there's so much so much power in learning different styles from other places too. So we highly recommend it. And also for a logistics issue, we just have to have people leave the Lower Mainland for a little bit to go to other places, but we have lots to choose from.
Thank you, Christy.
Okay, yeah, nothing new has come in. So I'll just let everybody know that a copy of the slide presentation will be sent out to all the registrants, hopefully by the end of the week. And there are more info sessions for most of the week, so you can check into those if there's any other you're maybe interested in. And I think that's it. I'll thank you all for being with us today, and we wish you all the best in your future in health sciences. So thank you once again. I hope we see you later.
Thanks, Darren. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Good night.